Hi, and thanks for logging on to the Daily DVAR Halacha. And here's a brand new halacha, 4 units for Thursday, 25th day of July, 22nd day of Tammuz. Here we go. More laws about the 9 days. We had left off telling you that if somebody finishes something like a Masechta of Gemara, a whole tractate of Gemara, then that is something worthy of a Sudas mitzvah. And if that happens during the 9 days, you can eat meat at the Siyum, at the Suda. Now, there are some people who have the custom to say, thank you very much, and I know that I'm allowed to have meat at a siyum on the 9 days, but I choose not to. I just don't want to be eating meat during the 9 days. That is respectable. If people want to do that, that's very appropriate. It's just their way of saying, it doesn't feel like a time for a great, great celebration with meat right now. There is no Beis Hamikdash, and I just don't want to show the ultimate enjoy. And they postpone their siyum until after the 9 days. If people want to do that, they don't have to, but if they want to, it's certainly okay. And lastly, on that topic, this kind of is going to sound obvious, but the halacha does say that people who, defy the customs by just saying, you know what, I feel like eating meat. I'm just going to eat meat. So those people who do that, they're desecrating the memory of the Beis Hamikdash. They're showing that I know it's the 9 days. I know the temple was destroyed. I want to eat meat. So by doing that, you're just putting yourself ahead of the memory of the Beis Hamikdash. And I don't have to tell you, it's kind of obvious. The halacha says that you're desecrating its memory. Now on to the topic of washing clothing during the 9 days. Just like when a person is in mourning, he does not wash his clothing. It's just a certain feeling of freshness and joy to have, fresh laundered clothing. He doesn't even put on freshly laundered clothing during the 9 days. So too, we, in the 9 days, do not put on freshly laundered clothing. Now, if this is the first time you ever heard that, you're going to panic a little. So listen, it does not apply to undergarments. That's sort of like personal hygiene. You could put on clean and freshly laundered undergarments. But what we're talking about, not wearing freshly laundered clothing, we mean outer things like a shirt, let's say. The way we're living today in our Western world, we all have a stack of shirts waiting for us in our closet. They're all straight out of the washing machine, and you put it on, and there's that super fresh feeling of ready to hit the day, got all my clean clothing on. So we don't allow ourselves that joy during the 9 days. And so what do? There are like two ways to kind of make this law happen, because it doesn't mean that all your clothing has to be disgusting during the 9 days. So you have two options. What some people do is, a day or so before the 9 days arrive, they take all the 9 shirts, just picking the number 9, all the shirts that they're going to wear throughout the 9 days, and they put on each one for a few minutes. It's no longer freshly laundered because it's had you in them for a couple of minutes. And now you hang them back up on their hangers. They're not freshly laundered. And one by one, you wear those during the 9 days. That's what some people do. What other people do is they take out their freshly laundered shirt during the 9 days from the closet, drop it on the floor. Yes, drop it on the floor. Now, it doesn't have to get all stained. That's not the point. The point is that it loses its freshness, picks up little dust, doesn't have that fresh, crisp feeling like straight out of the washing machine, and then you put it on. If you've heard of that, you're like, yeah, I knew that halacha. If you never heard of it, it sounds a little crazy, right? But the idea is, how can you go through your day and just get dressed with that fresh, wonderful feeling of, I feel like $1,000,000? Well, it's the 9 days. We lost both of our temples on the 9th of Av. How can you feel like $1,000,000 right now? You want to show that something's missing. And that's why we do customs like that during the 9 days. Thanks for logging on, and log on again tomorrow for more. Bye-bye.